Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Doctor Who, The Ghost Monument. And I really did not like this episode. I think that the whole situation and kind of just the whole story just kind of did not work. Mainly because I didn't care about anybody really involved. Even the people that were sucked in with the Doctor, I'm like, I don't care. There's some stuff that was like, oh, funny, okay, but I don't feel like most of them are fleshed out characters. And that's kind of worrisome for future episodes. I know you can do better character development going further on and broaden out a character, but it just usually you don't want to go too ensemble because it dilutes character development. The Doctor, of course, at this stage is going to get the most character development. Her friends, as she's termed them, there's like three of them. So instead of getting like one really good one that you can kind of connect with and be like, oh, okay, you got three of them that are given kind of the like split character development three ways. So one's going to get one way, one's going to get another, and it's just going to be kind of messy. Then enter into the fact that we've got three characters that are introduced into this scenario that we've got going on. So evidently, the Doctor did not make as much of a miscalculation as she thought she did. Because they're in space and then they get split up. Two of them are picked up by one person, two of them are picked up on by another. And they're able to understand the people, but that's because later on it's revealed that they were tagged and given universal translators to understand aliens. One's a man and one's a woman, and that's pretty much the extent. I kind of only know their kind of backstories. One dude wants to win at all costs, doesn't trust anybody because we learn later on that his mother told him to climb a high-ass tree and said, I'll catch you, and then didn't catch him, and that he's got this self-lighting cigar that he's going to smoke when he wins this race. It's evidently like this giant rally race challenge, almost kind of like a deadly version of like wacky races slash death race kind of thing. And these are the last two contestants. And there's this planet that's like moving out of orbit and all that. One of them lands, and that's the woman who's got Graham and Ryan, who have some interesting dialogue, but I mean, they're just trying to figure out what's going on with their situation, but not enough to make me like, I don't care about you guys at the moment. I mean, Graham, at least, is observing on the situation, so it's like, oh, okay, I kind of like that you're talking about, like, okay, we need to figure out what's going on, we gotta follow this chick and all that, and then we have to wait until later on for Ryan to get his kind of stuff. Same with, Yaz. It's like, okay, we see Yaz and the Doctor with the guy, and his ship's pretty much falling to pieces, and the Doctor's trying to figure out how to make sure that they live, and even though that sounds like an exciting situation, it really wasn't, because there's this thing you gotta watch out for when you're doing sci-fi or anything of that matter, that if you throw around too much technical jargon that someone doesn't know or is supposed to know but doesn't, you just kind of tune out. I'm like, oh, you're talking about this, the ship's falling apart. I kind of get it. It's just her and the one dude fighting over how to best get this thing landed. And it's like, okay, but they pretty much crash land almost on top of the other people. And, oh, okay. Doctor, of course, apologizes for what's going on, doesn't understand what kind of mistake that she made and all that, but they follow the rest of the people, get more information on what's going on, get into a tent. Evidently, there's this hologram of like one of the winners who set up this rally, and whoever wins pretty much is set for life, and that's why they're running this race. We get kind of backstory on the woman, that her home is kind of like screwed over and she's trying to get her family back together, and that the Stens are involved, which was the one dude that like puts teeth into their face and all that kind of stuff. Tim Shaw kind of dude. It's like, oh, okay, so they're evidently going to be the big bad or whatnot for this portion. So they have to get to this ghost monument thing, and I'm like, ghost monument. She's trying to look for her TARDIS. That's probably what it's going to be. And I waited pretty much the whole episode. I'm like, yep. See, it doesn't matter kind of what the destination is. I'm like, oh, okay, she's going for a TARDIS. She kind of needs the TARDIS so that way they can do kick-ass adventures. It's just the way we got there was just, it felt so boring. I'm like, I don't care about these people. We get some kind of interesting dialogue. I kind of like the Doctor line that was like about Antiques Roadshow and talking about Pythagoras and all that. That was kind of funny. But we get on further. They have to like cross this water and all that. Graham's trying to get Ryan to kind of open up about losing his grandmother, but he doesn't really do that. They try and like fix this boat. They're able to get it going. The Doctor kind of like helping them along and kind of giving them encouragement. But I'm like, okay. They get across and they're like, this is like a desolate world. Everything's pretty much trying to kill you. The one hologram dude's like, make sure that you find shelter at night because you're pretty much going to die, and no killing, injuring, maiming kind of stuff. You gotta, it's whoever crosses the finish line first. Okay. Doctor looks at the water for their boat as they're going to cross and says there's like flesh-eating bacteria or flesh-eating organisms in it. I'm like, if you're not going to show something like that, which could have done cool effects-wise, you don't need to really say that. It's like, you could have just picked anything else. And now I'm like, oh, that's another cool thing I don't get to see. But we continue on. They eventually get to this interesting structure, and they kind of like spread out. The one dude pretty much sets off some alarms, and these like sniper bots come out. And these are kind of the most boring robots I've really seen. They just stand there mainly and shoot. Because the Doctor's like, oh, okay, we don't alert these things, we'll be alright. She says, as one dumbass, not in her group, thankfully, alerts them all. And they kind of like go around, they're like, okay, we're in target range. They find one that's kind of like destroyed, and we're like, oh, alright, we got a gun. I've been training this for my whole life. And I got this Call of Duty, which, this whole section was really kind of weird. It was a ham-fisted attempt at trying to have some kind of message on guns, but in the least nuanced way possible. Just like the Doctor's like flat out going, I don't use guns and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but it really was just very awkward and just really preachy. And I'm like, okay, there's no situation where guns would work at all. Say, oh, I don't know, if there is an antenna on top of some machine that's like sending off a signal, and I don't know, there's a dude who's a crack shot sniper, and you just be like, okay, why don't we let him have his gun and shoot off the antenna and stop like this transmission that would be letting robots go. I don't know. I'm like, I understand the pacifist stuff. We kind of saw her use this kick-ass move to kind of just stun the one dude that's running the rally race, and it just was really weird. I just kind of like Ryan's reference to like Call of Duty, and then he like goes out kind of Rambo style, shoots them all with the guns, the gun, they fall down, but then they get back up, and he runs back, and like the scream he lets out was funny as shit, and just like the most amount of character I've seen out of him yet. But then the doc was like, this sets off all the robots and pretty much goes, I told you so kind of stuff. I'm like, no, you didn't really tell him that, if you shoot the robots, that's not going to do jack and or shit. Granted, I would have looked at the robot to see what their kind of weak points were and all that, but it felt like characters doing stupid stuff because the plot demanded it, or the message demanded it, more than the character actually being a dumbass and doing it. I'd rather believe that it's a character doing a dumbass thing and doing it, rather than the plot forcing the character to do a dumbass thing to do a dumbass thing. But the Doctor is able to use this dead sniper bot, which is never really explained why it's dead. Yeah. but uses the innards in it to make an EMP and shock them, and they're able to hook up with the rest of them. The one dude is injured, and they kind of go into these tunnels and figure out what's going on with the planet, in that it's a testing ground for the Stenza, and they've made all these weapons and everything. One dude, the rally race dude, almost gets suffocated by a dirty sheet cloth thing, which I don't have a problem with. I just have a problem with it later, in that they could somehow fucking communicate. Okay. But we continue. They figure out all that kind of stuff. Yaz really gets kind of screwed in this episode, too. Because she really doesn't do shit. Now that I think about it. Yeah, again, nobody really gets much done. But, they're continuing on. They're like, oh shit, they have to get out. It's dark, and they get close to these acetylene fields. Ryan has to do climbing up of like ladders and everything, but of course the doctor gives him a pep talk again, gets him through talking about acetylene and all that, and they're walking around, but then they get surrounded by the blankets of doom again. And they're talking about fear and everything like that the doctor has the most fear at the moment, and calls her like the timeless child, which seems to be like alluding to some bigger importance. I think it's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, I don't know that much about the lore of Doctor Who, but it sounds like a kind of interesting line that could be linked to kind of like bigger kind of cosmic things going on. So we'll see what that has in store. And they're about to go in on them, but of course they've dug these holes, and they lie down, and they get the dirty blankets of doom to kind of converge in, and they toss up the self-lighting cigar and snap, and then set them all on fire. Oh, okay. They're able to get to the tent. They decide to be joint winners of the race, and them and the tent and everything get teleported out. The doctor is distraught because they don't know where the TARDIS is, and she's apologizing for failing them, and that they're pretty much going to die because this is a out of whack, out of orbit planet. But of course, that's when the TARDIS shows up and is like, oh, okay, come to daddy. Oh, that's right, mommy. And I kind of like that line. Goes in, and she's like, oh, come on, I forgot my key. Can you open? And opens it up, and we see her new kind of TARDIS inside, and that's pretty cool. See her messing with everything and all that, and I liked the TARDIS bit at the end. I'm just like, everything to get to there was just, I really didn't care. I really wasn't interested, and that's saying much. I mean, sniper bots are involved, lethal weapons testing of scientists and being brought there and threatened by the Stenza. It's like, oh, okay, that could be, I say that, and it's like, oh, that should sound interesting, but the execution and everything, I was just like, wow, this is pretty boring. Could this just be the Doctor, please? It's weird. I'm like, I know that like companions and friends are a staple, so that way the audience and everything can have an interplay. I just would have been fine if the Doctor had been shot off to a planet by herself, and then the next episode dealt with her coming back in the TARDIS because she needs the friends to do something or whatnot, or because she did all this stuff on this planet. I'm like, oh shit. I know that would have been a kind of weirder episode with the Doctor by herself on a planet having to deal with all these kind of different things, but that sounds like a vastly more interesting premise than what we've got, because all the characters except the Doctor involved just bored me. I'm like, I don't care about you. I don't mind if the dirty blankets kill you. And that's a shitty way to go out with a dirty blanket cloth thing. Even the sniper bots, I feel like they don't really move. And it's kind of easy to just kind of push them over even. Just go up and be like, push. I don't know. I was just really disappointed with this episode, and I hope that the other episodes improve, and that potentially what they could do is cycle out a character within her companion group to be kind of the focus of the episode, so that way it gets character development. But I don't know. We will have to see. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.